to Human Tech, a podcast about the intersection between humans and technology. My name is Guthrie. I'm here with Susan. Hey, Susan.
Hello, Guthrie.
Boy, it has been a
Oh
while.
man, I'm so embarrassed.
I'm not. I'm not embarrassed at all.
I'm
So
embarrassed. We stopped recording
uh,
podcasts.
there's another podcast that I listen to called Divided Argument. I believe that's what it's called, which is a Supreme Court podcast. And my favorite thing is about it is they say an unpredictable Supreme Court podcast because they make
Yes.
no promises about when they'll record, when
Well,
they'll come out.
I was
Completely
teaching.
unpredictable.
I was teaching a session yesterday and talking about how the relationship between unpredictability and dopamine release in our brain.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
well, of
so,
course, the
of
casino.
course, I was. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, unpredictability builds anticipation, which might be good. So we did it on
Uh,
purpose. Yeah.
no. See, but then we're doing it wrong, right? Because you'd want variable rewards instead. What we did
Okay.
was that suppression,
No, it's called extinction.
extinction. Yeah.
No interaction.
Nothing.
All right.
No direction.
So for those of you who maybe haven't been tuning in,
Or the year is 2030 and you're gone back to the beginning and you're listening to them in order.
yes, there was a span of time where we didn't do podcasts for, and I don't even want to know how long. It was a very long
Oh,
time.
well, then no, this is so part of today's show is this
What?
is an update. There's been a lot of stuff that's happening. We're just gonna
Yeah.
cover some brief ground. We our
Yeah.
next podcast now that we hopefully get back to doing more
You mean
regularly.
our next one in 2 years?
When we get back to more regularly scheduled stuff,
Yes.
we're gonna dive into classic topics. But this was going to be sort of a
This is
potpourri
just
catch
a
up.
hello. We're still here.
Well, no, it's going to be a full length, but
Okay.
I was gonna have some fun with it.
Okay.
So my first fun question was, can
Yeah.
you guess when the publishing date of our last podcast was? We are recording this today on January 18th, 2023. That would make it published a day or two after that. So,
All right. I don't know. So
yeah.
I'm just going to throw out there. It was December 9th, 2021.
Oh, no, it was not that far. No,
It was April 17th,
May 8th, 2022.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
that's not as bad as I thought. It's still a very long time. I thought it was more than a year, but no. Okay. All
No.
right. Well, we just got busy.
Yeah. So, as a very quick just recap, just to again, just to catch everyone up,
Yeah.
about some things and stuff and such. We got busy with work, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. And then there was just a lot of stuff that was happening in that kind of period of time, and we knew things were going to get very busy, and so we kind of slowed things down for a bit. Part of that was we had there were a couple travel trips we took in there. We went to Europe briefly, spoke at a conference, the World
Usability Congress.
World Usability Congress. I was always saying World Usability Day, but that's
different.
That's different. In Graz, Austria. I did a whole host of there's a bunch of life stuff that I was doing, including moving to a different state. So for those who may see behind me,
it doesn't look the same.
It doesn't look the same. It is going to be a lot more chaotic. Still not even close
organized. Yeah.
to being done. And there's U-Haul boxes and part of the whole thing with podcasting is ideally you want a good mic setup. You want your computer to be popping. You want the internet to be quick and speedy. And so when you're in the middle of a move and all your stuff's in boxes and
that's not gonna happen.
you just don't have your things, you don't have your tools. It's hard. So the first half was I had to pack everything into a box, and then I had to take everything, move it, and then take everything out of a box.
How moving works.
Yeah. So it's a double length there, and then it was the holiday season.
Yes.
And so things were busy and more travel. So With all that we on the plate,
We
we
just postponed,
just postpone things for a little bit.
but we're back.
But we're back. Okay, so in that period of time,
Yeah.
this is sort of hot. This is going to be hot takes just for a
Okay.
couple minutes here.
Okay.
There were a number of news stories that happened. Okay,
The world did not stop.
the world didn't stop for us. No, that's correct. Okay, so I just want to. I'm going to give you a couple news stories.
Yeah.
All right.
He
And
doesn't tell me ahead of time what we're doing. So if you think I have an agenda in front of me where I know what he's going to do next, that is not the case. So go ahead, Guthrie. I have no idea what you're going to do. Go ahead. You have a number of
okay,
news stories.
I have a number of news stories here
Yeah.
that are kind of tech stories from 2022.
Okay.
And it's a curated selection.
Okay.
And I'm just going to see if there's something, if you would like to comment, like you're sort of a politician.
Do I get to say no comment?
No comment. Yes, you
I can
certainly
do that.
can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
yes.
going to try. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
So the first sort of big story that has been impacting, and it's our profession so strange, being entirely digital. Some things are sort of affected by it. Some things are not affected by it.
Yeah.
You could answer this in the form of consulting as well, if you cared to.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Why don't you just tell me what it is, and then you can tell me how to answer.
So the first topic is the very interesting, we'll just say, supply chain inflation, chip shortage gobbledygook that has sort of really taken off. We stopped in May, right? And so inflation in the United States really started to hit in June, July, August. Things are cooling off here, but it has been sort of 7 months of further supply chain trouble, weird inflation stuff. And I was just curious if you had, this is not a subject that I don't think people in our industry talk about a whole lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
UX and macroeconomic trends, consulting and trends. But I just wondered if you had any thoughts about how that is having an effect on our industry. And it was a topic that I don't think we're the right podcast to do a whole hour on economic whatever, but it was important, and I think it's affecting a lot of people. And I just wanted to see if you wanted to comment.
The only comment that comes to mind that I might have about this is just, we've been in a trend that I think now is slowing down, of a shortage of user experience people in particular, a lot of moving around, a lot of switching jobs. I think the inflation part, more than the supply chain part, has maybe made people a little more cautious about what's going to happen with the economy in general. Where are we headed? With the inflation came the whole conversation, are we headed for a recession? And so I just think it's made everyone maybe calm down a little bit, and maybe a little bit more nervous about where the future is. And so I don't know. I think perhaps we're seeing a little less of, if I want to switch jobs, I should do it right now. This is it. This is the opportunity. But that's just off the top of my head.
I think
you may have a different opinion because you do a lot more of recruiting and so on than I do.
Yeah, I would still say the recruiting market in UX is still very hot. It is still, but you're starting to see a little bit more supply. That is to say, people who before it was scorching, and now it is still, hot.
It's hot, but maybe not as crazy
Not
as
as
it seemed to
crazy.
be.
And I think you're seeing that in a lot of industries, like home buying. Like home buying used to be like, just, we're going to go. I mean, and I bought a home. So during this time period. And, when I bought the home,
It's crazy.
yeah, that went on the market on Thursday. uh, the the agent selling it said, Sunday night we're going to take the highest bidder. Like the house is going to sell by in 2 days. Put in your offers. Which is not the long tradition. That's not how houses, for those who aren't in the United States and maybe don't know. Usually a house is on the market for a couple of months. And a couple offers come in and people think about it, and there's an open house and it's a whole thing. And it's just like, we'll get a ton of offers this weekend. Like we're going to sell the house in 2 days. And that is, I think that's starting in many markets to settle back down to normalcy a little bit. And I think that's true also in the kind of UX recruiting world as well. The other impact is definitely for other consultancies. If we're playing some inside baseball, I think companies are in a really weird spot, and very quickly, last year, which would be 2022, and 2021 into 2022, was a year of record profits in a lot of industries. There was just stimuluses
A
and
lot of
people were
money.
spending, and it was a really weird time, but for a lot of industries, it was also a very profitable time. Doesn't mean there weren't a lot of challenges and hurdles, but just a lot of companies had really good years, ourselves included, if we're being honest. So that was great, and then things kind of came back down to earth a little bit, and compared to last year, it looks like some huge big, and you drop, when really you're just getting back to like
Back to
2020, like
what
the way things
normal
were.
was.
Right,
Yeah,
normal. And maybe it's down a little bit, maybe it's even up a little bit from 2020, and sort of like a normal progression.
right.
But I think a lot of companies in the corporate culture, inside a lot of companies in the C suites, there's a lot of freaking out with investors and stuff because, you know, you know, uh, you know, profits down 85% from last year, but it's down 3% from 2020. And I
Yeah,
think that's made a lot of companies very skittish,
yeah.
and a lot, and as and if you're thinking about going into the consulting world, whenever there is a economic skittishness, doesn't even have to be a recession. Just if there's
No,
like
just
whispers,
right. Then
consulting's
everyone,
always the first thing to go.
right, they pull back.
All the projects go on pause. All the people get put on pause. That is always the first thing. So, being a consultant, having a consultancy, having a training organization, we are always on the front line of sort of feeling recessions. And I know,
What are we? The canary in the coal mine? Is that
yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. If you
we feel it first, and then we know it's
We
going to
should
come.
really start a financial data corporation where we interview, do surveys of consultancies as
And use that to
predictive
predict
indices for
uh, economic
global
future
macroeconomic trends.
economic climate.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I will. I'll move on. I just wanted to,
Okay,
to
that's my take
allow
on
you to
that.
comment, because that's obviously a really big deal, and
Yeah,
I think I mean, it's pretty straightforward for most people. I don't know if we
yeah.
can add too much. That's super insightful. Okay, so that's one. The next one is another industry talking shop macro trend thing,
Which is
which is the further consolidation in a lot of industries. Um, that from on a software side, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, one of the largest video game publishers ever. Broadcom spent 61 billion to buy VMware. There was a lot of mergers and acquisitions. Nvidia wanted to buy ARM, that ended up getting scuttled. um, if you want to if you want to include Elon buying Twitter, which was sort of a consolidation of different, conglomerate empires. Tesla being obviously a huge company, SpaceX being a huge company, so that Twitter is sort of in its own weird way, sort of amalgamated into that broader scope. Um, and then, of course, on the UX front, the bombshell news, and I don't know if everyone knows the details of this.
They do not. I know what you're going to talk about, and I can tell
Yeah.
you people don't, because I will mention it to people and they'll go, "What? What?" So go ahead.
So, so in the UX world in particular, there are three things to talk about. The first is obviously Adobe's buying of Figma
Yes.
for many, many billions, which was, a big deal. And I remember back at Business to Buttons in Stockholm, Sweden, there was a presentation from Adobe, just a little thing on the side, and they're like, "We have this new beta program, and it's called uh, uh, Adobe UX
XD.
XD." Sorry, and I was like, "Oh my god, Adobe is getting into UX! Like this is a huge deal." And they were right.
Prototyping tool.
Prototyping tools. They were right. They saw the trend, but for whatever reason, their
They didn't
strategy
hit
just
it.
what
They didn't hit it on the mark, and
they didn't, and they had competitors in Sketch and Figma, as
yes.
the designers out there will know, kind of swallowed the market. And so Adobe was early. That was 2016, 2015 that they had a beta out of XD, and it just didn't catch fire. And I think Adobe and other companies, they really see UX as the future, a huge future growth segment. And it's something that I don't think, you've been in UX a long time. I don't think you ever would have thought of UX as like the hot new tech startup bubble, like UX as an asset.
Like social media,
Yeah,
or
yeah, exactly. Like I don't think you would ever have considered doing user
that venture
experience
capitalists
to
are
be like
like,
the sexy
"What's the next
Silicon Valley.
UX thing we can get into?" Yeah,
Yes, yes, but there are clearly people in
yeah,
Silicon
that
Valley
are
who feel that
doing
way.
that. And this is this Adobe purchasing Figma is a sign of that. Now,
Well, hold on.
yeah,
We're not done.
we're not done. Okay.
Well, the last thing I'll say is, yeah, Adobe refusing to lose UX, just completely refusing to lose UX design, and spending many, many billions to buy Figma and merge it. Assume with
I
XD.
don't know. Do we know what's happening with that? Because
It has been. I believe it's been approved, but it hasn't been finalized. So I believe they're
okay,
still separate
they're
companies
still
as
in
of the
the
moment.
middle of it.
But even
Okay,
once they officially merge, I'm sure
we don't
it'll
know
take a
what
couple years
to.
before things sort of mesh together.
Okay,
Um, but I'm sure there are other people out there who are much more knowledgeable about
and have
Figma and the
very strong. I
changes.
think
And
there are people
very
have very
yes, they have
strong
very strong opinions.
opinions
Yes,
about this.
yes.
Yes,
Okay, so that's the big one. But
that's one.
there's
There
another one
is.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So uh, UserZoom.
Which is a whole usability
Testing,
testing
yeah, on the user testing side of things.
feedback suite of tools.
And you've known about UserZoom
We know
for forever.
we've known the owner and founder of UserZoom for a very long time, and
Yeah, well,
we've
yeah,
known.
you didn't get in on that. No equity was acquired. You didn't get in on the ground floor there.
I didn't know,
No,
and there's
no.
another one
Well, hold on.
that I also know the founder didn't get in on that one either. So
So
it's a
UserZoom
trend.
a number of months ago, 6 months ago,
Hmm.
between when we stopped
Hmm.
podcasting and now, they were acquired by, I believe, and I'm gonna, if I'm wrong, someone can write in and tell me, but I believe a private, I don't want to say hedge fund, it's a private
Venture
equities venture
capital
capital investment
firm.
fund firm.
Yes.
My understanding is that there is nothing particularly tech it's not like Adobe, which had XD
Right,
and
right,
was in the
right.
usability
This was
space
not a purchase or acquisition by a usability.
of any sort. They
No.
were sort of new to the industry, and they
Yes,
swallowed up UserZoom
correct.
for many, many millions.
Yes.
And that was an interesting thing that happened. Oh, that
Yes.
was like oh wow, they got that much for that. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you want to take us through to the next company, which is User Testing.
Yeah. So, one of there are a number of different companies in this space of user testing and unmoderated and moderated and suite of tools and testing panel and all of that stuff. The two biggest ones, I mean, we could argue about this, but and people probably will want to, but we're UserZoom and usertesting.com. And this company that bought
Toma,
UserZoom,
Bravo, and Sunstone Partners
and then they bought usertesting.com.
for $1.3 billion.
Okay, I have to
Big
tell you,
money.
I still have the email. I should find it. I have the email in my email chain. When usertesting.com started, and I heard about it, and it was, as far as I know, it was the first one to do this, to have this tool, to have this um, way of doing user testing automated and unmoderated remotely and have a panel of people that would test for you. It was such a big deal. And it was such a great idea, I thought. And this was a long time ago, and I found out who had started it. And I emailed the founders who were doing this part time on the side to tell them I was extremely jealous and I thought it was a great idea and I wish I had come up with the idea. And I emailed them and said that. And they emailed me back, and then we talked on the phone. And, it was like, oh, they were just kind of interested in doing this and hopeful that it might take off. And I think I wrote a couple of pieces about them on my blog at the time to help them out. And if you had said to me, oh, well, in 2022, they're going to get bought out for, what was the amount?
$1.3 billion.
Yeah, I would have said, what? Yeah. So I remember when they started. Yeah. So they really, that's just an incredible story. But yes, $1.3 billion.
So,
so I don't know what any of that means, though.
Well, so then the crazy thing is that this company, Sunstone Partners, they are going to merge the two together to corner the user testing market.
Okay, well, good luck with that. And I say that only because anyone who uses those tools, and I know a lot of people that either use both of them or over a period of time have used one and then use the other. They're quite different. Those are really different products. This is not like, oh yeah, they're kind of similar, it'll be easy. Probably that's true of Adobe. I mean, that's true of Adobe XD and Figma as well. Those are really different products.
So, quote, we are excited to bring together the complementary expertise of user testing and UserZoom to create a leading integrated solution that delivers real-time data-driven feedback to organizations globally.
I don't know what that means. One thing that I think...
Hold on. There's more. Our acquisition of user testing is a testament to our belief that customer experience is mission critical to organizations, and the combined company will be well positioned to further market expansion, accelerate innovation, and provide even greater insights to its customers. We look forward to leveraging the deep experience we have cultivated in customer experience and user experience space to help the combined company capture tremendous growth opportunities ahead.
Can I complain?
Well, so this is this is now your opportunity to comment.
Oh, good.
Yes. Let me add just one more thing.
What?
We must be kind of silly. Thoma Bravo is one of the largest private equity firms in the world with 122 billion in assets. So, and not exactly a mom and pop shop. Maybe we should have known about them, but whatever.
I didn't know about them. I still don't know about them. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm going to complain because that's what I do best. Um, over the last 5 years or so, I have seen these usability tool companies, including UserZoom and User Testing and others. I don't know why this happened, but just in an effort to grow, they often tout themselves. It's like they stop talking about user experience. They stop talking about usability. They don't talk about it, user testing, although the company's name was usertesting.com. But they've been, it's all been all about, they put on webinars about how you can use their tool to do marketing research. You can use their tool. I saw one webinar, how to use their tool, which was designed for unmoderated user testing, how to use it as an HR tracking tool when you're recruiting employees. I was like, what? What? Like what? Where is that coming from? So I think the tools in this space have been trying to position themselves as being more than just usability tools, because they figured that they'd be able to get
They
more
want to be a
clients.
platform.
They want to grow.
It's all
So
about
this
having a
whole,
platform.
customer experience and becoming a platform and all of that. And
Yeah.
it's like I just need a really good I need a good user testing tool. Could we just stick with that? So yeah, I know everybody wants to grow, and I guess if a venture capital firm, one of the largest private equity firms in the world, has bought them, do I think they know what UX people need in a tool? I might be a little skeptical, but
You could interview some users.
of the
believe they have
tool
a
and
tool for
find
that.
out
Probably good.
there's a
Yeah,
tool for that.
good pricing. Yeah, I mean, and just in general, I mean, it's part of a larger industry trend. You're seeing it in video games. You're seeing it in toy manufacturing.
What
You're seeing it in construction
trend is that?
supplies. It's
The
just consolidation,
Well,
and
this happens
growth,
all.
and like
No, this is
the
yeah,
ruthless demand for growth.
and this is a cyclical thing, right? And then it morphs into something else, and then a new startup comes out to do
Yeah, because everyone gets frustrated.
one little
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You do that one little thing really well. Um, another trend around this area that we could mention is that there are some interesting tools that come up for doing this kind of unmoderated user test within the prototyping tools. So, for instance, there's a company, Maze, Maze, that is like a plug-in to Figma to do user testing with your Figma prototype. So that's right now, I think they're just this, they're doing this one little thing. So there's probably going to be I think there might be some innovation there might be, with all this consolidation. Well, let me ask you this, Guthrie, from a business economic point of view, because you follow this
I
stuff more than
am
I do.
a licensed economist. No, I do have an econ degree from I believe it was a top 5 program when I graduated.
So when there is this consolidation like this, does that usually encourage these small new pop-up startups, or does it actually discourage that from happening?
It is such a classic econ it depends answer.
Okay.
Because, and sometimes it is yes and also no. So sometimes, for example, if you look at some of the spaces, it very much depends on the industry. If you look at the airlines, there has been huge consolidation.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone is like, I'm going to challenge, American
Yeah.
Airlines as a
Ones.
premier,
Yeah.
and there are like the Qatar Airlines of the world and in the developing countries and that are really kind of growing their fleets and spending big money on that. But like, if you want to become a premier global airline, you need to spend like,
A lot of money.
I don't know, $500 billion or like some
Yeah.
just extraordinary sum that is just because you need like metal and planes and contracts and like with like where's like the 50 years of connections running O'Hare Airport that United has as a political hub and a destination and like all this stuff. So in some industries, the consolidation really does lead to consolidation.
Okay.
Especially in the short term. I think in
Yeah.
the longer term, though, exactly what you're describing happens, where there's consolidation. And there's a bajillion business books and business podcasts that talk about this kind of thing, and the organization gets large and swollen,
Yeah.
and the really key people who were driving innovation or really focused on just a small part, they get potentially replaced by people who are more concerned about share price, more concerned
Yes.
about growth.
Yes.
Hey, let's like you said, like we need to become a platform so we
Yes.
can leverage growth in other areas versus let's become the best uh, you know, uh, uh, unmoderated testing software that the
Well,
world has ever
okay,
seen.
and can I comment on another trend in here? Because as these companies have been growing and as they have possibly been looking to become acquired, they have been focusing a lot more on large enterprise
Yeah, clients.
suites and clients.
Yeah,
So
that's where the money is.
whereas user testing for sure started as if you're a one person shop and you want to run one test with 10 users, you can just do that, right? You don't need an enterprise level account. And I you know, that may still be true at usertesting.com, but I know a lot of their resources and their pricing and their whole approach has become this, getting an enterprise account. And understandably, they're going to make more money that way. But, for a lot of organizations, I mean, we have clients who, for a variety of reasons, don't want to get an enterprise license to these tools, but they'd really like to be able to, run some tests. Or you're a small firm, like we're a small consulting firm. Are we going to want a huge enterprise license to these tools? No, we
So,
still. So there becomes
yeah.
a lack of tools at just that smaller basic level.
So this is where the no but yes becomes a
Yeah,
reality. So you have the consolidation. So there's less players in the market. The market
yeah,
maybe gets worse. It gets consolidated, like in the
yeah,
video game industry. Okay, so that's the no. But then the yes, because of the stagnation, because of the drive, and it gets away from its roots and it gets away from the hardest core, edge users, which drive a lot of industries.
yeah,
People who all they care about is user testing, all they care about is video games, all they care about is
yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons, which is a hot topic right now. Like whatever the thing is, you have the most ardent people who
yeah,
know the most about it. Um, and they're probably they're the trend leaders, and it, out of that will come a startup, will come a something that is
yeah,
catering to those hardcore users,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
will experience growth, and then
And
it
then it'll
becomes
get
and then
acquired.
and
It's
then
just
it becomes yeah.
the
So
never-ending circle
well,
of life.
in some ways, yes. So, but Salesforce is an interesting example. They were
Yeah,
a small company. All they were doing was they were basically, hey, you got we're just going to keep track of your
Your
sales for you and your
customers and your
customers.
sales. Yeah.
And now it's this huge platform, and they've
Platform. Right.
muscled almost everyone out at one point, and they're
Right.
building huge gleaming skyscrapers in all the major
Right.
U.S.
Right.
cities. But out of that has come a bajillion copycats and
Yes.
people who will share Salesforce, but like for
small
for companies, for manufacturing,
Yeah.
right? For whatever the twist is and the take is,
Yeah.
and the way they're kind of doing
Yeah.
things a little differently. So the tools that you've had for tracking your customers is way better. The money that's been invested in is way better, and now the options are better. It just took a decade. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing that with more money coming into UX, you're going to have eventually more investment, more options, more people getting VC to start up something,
Okay, but
especially in software.
okay, but what I want to see, what I'm waiting for, are the really innovative. Well, I don't know. We can go off on this tangent, or if you want, you can ask me to comment on another news item. Which would you like to do?
Yeah. How about this? You want to
What?
just you got it, one or two other tools you want to name drop before
Yes.
we move on?
Well, I'll just say if venture capital is getting into this, if there's money coming in a big way for UX tools, then what I want to see is the well-funded startup that puts all the UX and UI designers out of business because it automates creating products and prototypes and UI design.
Well, that's a very good segue into the next topic.
Okay.
Which was ChatGPT. Very good. And it's
tangential to what I just said.
Not really. Less tangential than you're automating user tests
so this
and
is
product
my
creation
thing now with ChatGPT
and its various other forms.
I'm assuming that people listening know what that is. If you don't, please do check it out. But my latest thing now, Guthrie, whenever I was on vacation last week, and I was with some people who I knew were not particularly techie. And I said, "Oh, have you guys tried out ChatGPT?" And they're like, "Tried out what?" And they said, "Come here." And and it's always fun to. It's like, what is this? What are you doing? And then we just went up. That's my latest thing. Is just demoing it to people who don't know what it is.
we will do an episode, probably next episode.
Do an episode on ChatGPT.
It obviously deserves it. Yes. as a quick.
So you think a tool to do AI?
Well, whatever. I mean, you're talking about automation.
An automated tool to create prototypes.
Prototypes, not user testing. We're talking about design, not user testing.
I'm talking about design.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you meant a tool that would automate some of the user testing functions, like the data collection and.
Oh, I think we're getting that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that'll.
Yeah. No, I meant the tool that automates the user interface design.
Yeah, it's going to be called Figma XD, and Adobe is spending like a gajillion dollars trying to make it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure every tech giant has engineers working on.
This is like, hey, as is the usual story of my life, I remember conversations about this in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened yet. So I'm waiting.
Okay. So just as a short, we'll do a whole thing on ChatGPT.
Okay.
It really, deserves a whole hour.
A whole episode. Okay.
It should probably be illegal. That's where I've gotten to.
Yeah. Well,
it's getting ridiculous, and we can have little levels. Well, much like driverless cars, there's like tier 1, tier 2, like cruise control is like a tier 2, and eventually we'll just say any type of AI that's over a certain level should just be illegal.
Save that for next podcast.
Here are a couple subjects that I don't think you particularly care very much about, but
Okay.
other people may be interested in
Okay.
your take.
Oh, okay. What are they?
The first is um, any new kind of trends in tech, new MacBooks, new graphics cards, new
Hardware.
hardware. Well, Mac has been having a little bit of a renaissance recently, and there are chatterings about Intel, and there's Chrome is continuing to they're doing like various things. There's hot button tech
Yeah,
issues
I
about platforms
yeah.
mostly.
Well, and I'm not.
Do
You're right.
you care?
I don't stay up on that stuff very much. But I guess just as an overall general statement, um, that you can probably address better than I do. It seems like the supply chain thing kind of slowed everything up for a while, but
Hmm.
I'm anticipating, I guess, like the same that I've been waiting to buy a new car, and well, I checked out buying a new car uh, like a year ago, and nobody had cars, and so I didn't just buy one and put myself on the waiting list. But I expect that will clear up. So I'm expecting there to be these, and maybe I'm totally wrong. These a leap in hardware
Yeah.
capability as the supply chain thing gets figured out, um, and you know instead of just kind of incremental hardware improvements, I guess I'm hoping for some new and exciting stuff. I think we're I think as a society, we're just really slow on leaping into new hardware ideas.
Um, as one last aside, we'll get the last news topic I will talk about. Will sort of cover what you said. So put
Okay.
a small pin in that.
Okay.
I will say that there are certain industries and areas where you're seeing some very interesting things that were kind of worked on before the pandemic that are
Yeah.
now becoming mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like OLED panels actually being
Yeah.
good, which is a type of I mean, we're talking about user interfaces. It's a
Yes.
type of display technology that
Display.
is
Yeah.
very innovative for all sorts of reasons. And it's we're finally hitting the point where you can go buy a $1,500 laptop and it'll have an OLED panel in it, and it's not gonna burn out, and they're brighter, and um, so there are just some interesting big kind of changes that
That
are in motion. But yes, I
haven't
think you're
come to
right.
fruition.
Things have kind of hit pause
Slow
for a little
down.
bit there.
Yep.
Uh, I have to ask you this one. Uh, Mostly, it's sort of an internal news thing, but any thoughts on the whole Twitter universe thing? I mean, I have a Twitter account. I'm not on it. I really don't. I know the most fun thing for people on Twitter to do is just talk about Twitter as like a meta commentary on this or that, or like, and it's fun, but I don't have a whole lot of thoughts about it. You are actually nominally on Twitter. You had at one point had a decent number of followers.
Yeah. I wrote a whole LinkedIn post about this, which was very uncharacteristic of me. But to put myself in the fray of anything. But I I don't know if a lot of people have done this or not. But when the whole Twitter thing exploded, m- you know, I just had, I guess, an emotional and cognitive reaction, which was kind of like, oh, for goodness sakes. And I downloaded my uh, Twitter archive because I didn't know if Twitter was going to be around anymore, and I didn't want to lose all my stuff. So I downloaded my archive, which was a which was not a very usable process, but I finally got it to work, and it did happen, and so I have it. And I have not been on Twitter. I have not posted on Twitter. uh, since this has all happened, I guess I'm ghosting. I'm ghosting my own Twitter account.
Hmm.
Um, I I I got so much going on and so many other things I'm interested in, and I just was like fed up. I was like, I'm done with this. So I don't know what I'm going to do about Twitter. I mean, I haven't closed my account. I don't know. Is that the next step? But I'm certainly not active. Haven't done anything on it. So I don't know. I don't know where that's headed. I think this is so interesting with all these trends, Guthrie. I think I conflate how I'm feeling about something with the trend. So, I feel like saying I think the whole social media trend is is about to just fizzle away and morph into something else. I really think it's just that I'm tired of social media in questioning the role of it in my work and in my life, and I am conflating that with what the rest of the world is doing. But I certainly know for me personally, um, I
Stream
don't
this
know.
podcast live on YouTube and LinkedIn.
Is the podcast social media?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Probably not because we don't. We're. It's. I think it's just media because we're not interacting with anything, right? Like, we're just putting it out there like it's a Days of Our Lives soap or something. So I don't think it's.
It's a social media.
I think it's just media. It's just media
Just media.
for to be consumed.
Yeah.
Um. Uh. Okay. Other big stories. These are. I'm assuming you don't have big thoughts about this. Crypto
I have
regulation,
no thoughts about crypto
FTX
regulation.
collapses.
None. No.
Okay,
No thoughts. Nope.
no comment. Um,
I
I
didn't
think we
lose
already.
millions. That's the good news.
I think we covered it, but layoffs in the tech sector. So Facebook was sort of shedding employees, Amazon shedding employees. They grew at a tremendous rate over the
And then
pandemic
they
and
backed off.
backed up.
Yeah, no, I don't have any particular comments. No.
Other big story would be the war in Ukraine. That's obviously a big
That's
deal. I'm assuming you don't have comments about it, but it should be
no, I
mentioned.
don't. Although it makes me sad, and I can't believe how long it's going.
Okay. All right. So our last topic of the
Is
day, and we've managed to basically fill an entire episode.
we
So
always do that? Yes.
go us. Um. Uh. The title. This is the Great Return? Question mark.
What does that
Big
mean?
companies call workers back.
Oh,
Yeah. So, or just do you need a whole podcast on this? Do you not want to do it in 5 minutes? So this is the um. I mentioned our last topic was going to talk about your things were slowing down. The pandemic, just to set this up, impacted work in a number of ways. One, you had people going remote, and there's a question about some people say I'm way more productive being remote than in person. Some
yeah,
people say it feels like I am, but think of all the soft stuff we're losing, the conversations, the meetings in the hallway.
yeah,
Some companies say we've crunched the numbers and people are less effective at home,
yep,
and they're not paying attention and they're doing other things, and then there's the reality of COVID and now the other flus that are going around, the viruses and bugs that were in dormancy for 2 years, and now everyone's running around talking to each other again. Have sprung back. People literally were just sick and out of the office.
yeah,
Like a project that you were waiting for approval had to wait another week because your boss had COVID, and so you couldn't get the approval. And so there is an actual like literally things are behind because people have been sick and have not been able to do all that work that otherwise would have been done. So that is also one of the reasons that tech projects, initiatives. Everyone was overworked. Everyone was too busy. People were out of the office. There wasn't enough staff. There was a lot of inefficiencies as everyone had to transition to online. So uh, that is perhaps for all those reasons, innovation is a little slower in a lot of companies. Do you want to address things now? Do you have comments? Do you want to save your comments?
I'll make a few comments, and we can decide whether we want to pick it up in more detail later on. I think the shifts in there, because of everything you just said, there have been some very big shifts in people's expectations and mental models, and probably, I guess I'll use the term emotional models, about work, about what work is, how it should be done, what it means, and the role of it in one's life. And I think we should not underestimate the what I think is a huge change and a lasting change in even just the concept of location and divisions in one's life. I think that for most people, pre all of this, there was work and there was home. And you went to work and did work. And sure, people brought work home with them. And sure, there were people like us who've been working remotely and working from our homes for years, right? There were people who did that, but there was still a mental division between work and life, and there was a lot of our lives that revolved around the transition. I'm at work, I'm at home, I'm commuting, I'm working from home today, and now I think that division is gone, and that mental model has changed, and I think that has a lot of significance for many things. I don't think we have realized how big a mental model shift that is, and the implications of that in many, many, many ways.
Well,
And that, I mean, so that's my beginning statement, and from
yeah,
there, there's probably tons of stuff that comes out of that.
My only thing I will add is, and the reason I think there was that original mental model was because this is the second mental model that's adjacent to it. Was you went to work, you
That's
did
right.
work for money.
Yes.
You
Yes.
didn't love work. You were working in a coal mine, you were on a factory plant, you were chopping down trees, you were like work was work. It wasn't fun. And so when you came home, you wanted to leave your work at the door because
That's
it
right.
wasn't your life. It wasn't the thing that inspires you to wake up every morning.
No, it wasn't your purpose. It was
Yeah,
just
you were there
to
to
make.
work hard,
You had to make some
do good
money
work,
because you had to go to work so you could make money,
so that you could
so
eat.
you could live the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
And when it got a little bit better, and so it maybe it wasn't just I'm making money to eat, but I'm making money so I can send the kids to music lessons and tennis lessons, and they can go to camp, and it was more than just survival for many people.
Mhm.
But still, I went to work and did work
And now
so
your
that
work is supposed to be your passion. It's supposed
now,
to be your calling.
right, which is like, and so I think now with the and so that was true for a while, that work was supposed to be your passion, your calling, your vocation. But now, because of this
I don't
falling
think that was.
apart, it's like,
I think
what?
well, I think people think it's supposed to be like I don't think there's a whole lot of like sexy tech companies out there who are sort of like, come work at our tech
And
company
you can pay your bills.
and you'll pay your bills. It's always like, change the world,
But do you
be
think
part of a
do you,
team.
do you think though that can that hold up? or is that falling apart? The work is my. I think it's falling apart.
It seems to be falling apart, seeing as people are not happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We should definitely.
Okay, table
We
this.
should definitely table it. Well, yeah, we should talk about it in a lot more detail,
Okay.
and maybe even talk about it specifically for tech and UX workers.
You think we'd run out of topics at some point for
Well, we
podcasts?
did, and that's why we didn't do our podcast. No, that's not true. We no,
I
but
just
now
had to let the world
we've
go by for a couple times.
stockpiled topics because we didn't do a podcast for so long. So.
I'm really glad. Some people would have stockpiled episodes to like have content while we were gone. I'm really glad that we were just like, no, we're we're just gonna be gone.
Why? Why are you glad?
That's like the more like don't
It's
be
real. It's
yeah
live.
don't be controlled by your demands of this
We're it's the
algorithm social media
non-corporate
growth.
version.
Yeah, we're in control. We do what we want when we want.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. All right,
Yeah.
Guthrie. So hopefully, though, we will want to do this again in the near future, and we won't wait 9 months or something.
No,
Right?
no, we have we should talk about it. I'm in the East Coast time zone now, so our time may change. I still think we are going to try and do this at noon Central, 12:30 Central
I
every
don't.
week.
We gotta look at the
We
calendar.
got to look at the
Something like
calendar.
that.
So yeah, we will have a
Noonish.
yeah noonish. If you would like to watch the video, I suppose I should have started there. There will be a video of this on YouTube. There'll be a video. I think there's a live stream both on YouTube and in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And
Now
then of course,
we didn't advertise this live stream, so
no, because we
no
didn't
one
even
knew
know
we were
if
doing
all
it.
in fact, none of our connections, we use Restream, and none of our connections were still working. I had to go back and re-add them, and hopefully it worked. We'll see.
Okay.
Or maybe this got
But
published to some weirdo personal channel that we have on YouTube or something. I don't know.
hopefully, eventually, this will be live and people can join us, right, and ask
Well,
questions.
I think it says it's live right now,
It
but
says it's live.
also we'll put this out on the podcast, and then if you want to watch the video of the podcast, we do have video feed running.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're listening to this, you wouldn't know that because you're listening to it and you can't see us. But that is neither here nor there.
All right.
Okay.
Guthrie,
Yes.
it was great to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. This was fun. Thanks. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Okay.